Story Nori presents Prince Bertie Returns. It was a shrewd, nippy and eager night. The guard on the drawbridge of the palace was stamping his foot and clapping his gloves together. He heard the sound of approaching footsteps, but could not make out a face through the dark and the mist. "Who's there? Answer me!"
Long live the wicked queen!
"And what about the king?"
Oh, long live him too! It's time, Francisco, that you were off to bed with a cup of hot cocoa.
This was the relief guard, bang on time to start the midnight shift. Just as his beard and fur cap were emerging out of the gloom, the two soldiers heard a third pair of heavy boots stomping towards them. "What-o? Who's there?"
"Friend,"
came the reply in a voice that unmistakably belonged to Horatio, who was also on guard that night. The three comrades now stood together and shared some warming mints, called fishmongers' friends.
All quiet?
"Not a mouse stirring."
No sign of that, thing.
"Not tonight."
Horatio smiles. He thinks it is but our fantasy.
It was just then that somewhere deep down in the moat, a frog croaked. "Ribbit!" Two of the three burly guards jumped 6 feet in the air.
Whoa! Here it comes again! You're the brainy one, Horatio. Speak to it!
"So I shall. Here, Froggy, Froggy. Don't be scared, little green fellow."
You won't be laughing any minute now, Horatio.
"How now, Horatio? You tremble and look pale. Is this something more than fantasy?"
Is it not the very likeness of the prince?
"As you say, it has his spitting image. See, the very same green fleece he wore that day he smacked Prince Boris in the face for calling him a nincompoop."
I remember it well. You must fetch Princess Beatrice. Only her fair judgment may rule if it really is him.
"Surely not. The princess will be scared out of her wits."
"I'm with Bernardo. She pines so plaintively for him and longs for his safe return. She turns away all suitors in the belief that he still lives, and she sincerely thinks that he is away on a secret mission. Here is the very proof that he is departed, and yet not fully departed. The thing walks the earth at this midnight hour, longing to pass on the true story to the beloved princess. It will be a kindness to bring her here for their final farewells."
The guards were agreed. Horatio would speak to her, once known by all as the lovely Princess Beatrice. People had now taken to calling her the Sad Princess, or as her stepmother liked to say, the Mopey-Dopey Princess.
Here she comes, hanging her head like a sick donkey. She's still wearing that same old pair of shoes, even though they've got holes in them. Look, I can see her big toe sticking out. That is no way for a princess to go about.
My dear, she's never really been the same since the day my son vanished.
Well, she should get over it. One thing this world is never short of is men. She's got too many suitors. She could get married every day for the next 10 years if she wanted to. Both Prince Boris and Prince Freddie have been chasing her for years, but she doesn't even open their emails. And now my old friend Rupert is shopping for a new wife.
"Rupert?"
You know him, Inky Winky Rupert, the newspaper man. He's charming and funny and filthy rich. The poor chap's quite heartbroken and needs a new love in his life to heal his sorrow. Normally I would push Beatrice his way, but hey-ho, there's no point. She's no fun at all.
"Well, let's have a word with her. Beatrice, my dear, step over here for a moment, please. There's a good girl."
Yes, my lord?
How is it that a cloud still hangs over your head?
Not so, my lord. I'm feeling bright and sunny.
Beatrice, my dear, there's no need to be so down in the dumps. Moping around is never a good option.
Bertie will never come back. You know it is common. All that loves must fade. Believe me, passing through marriage to eternity is a fate far worse than being jilted. Think yourself lucky. Suppose you had married him. You'd be bickering over the dishes by now. It does seem common.
Now, my dear, go out and buy yourself a new pair of shoes.
I shan't. I wore these the day that he left, and I swore that I would wear no others until the day he returns.
But they're falling apart.
Then I shall go barefoot.
Foolish fop! She might as well go and live in a nunnery.
Beatrice returned to her chamber. The big wide world kept turning, but she sometimes wondered why it bothered when Prince Bertie wasn't around. How could people smile and joke and be happy when Prince Bertie wasn't there? What was the point of making plans for the future without Prince Bertie? She looked out from her window and exclaimed,
Fie on it all, fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden. Alas, no more can I take pleasure in the golden leaves as they sweep across the lawn, driven by the mad northwest wind. No more can I look at the ghostly trees and think of the day when they will turn green again. And no more can I delight in the ducks that waddle up the garden path. As for the palace pond, it is nothing but a deep, swirling cesspit of rotting villainy.
and in the region of those very same smelly waters, a loud noise just then was heard.
Phew! Is it you, Bertie?
That voice, in case you do not know, belongs to Colin the carp. He's a most grumpy fish.
Something's rotten in the state of this pond.
And for once Colin was right. Billy from the palace kitchen had missed the recycling truck and tipped a whole load of rotting food into the pond when no one was looking. And the pond was where Bertie was doomed to pass his days. Poor Prince, fated to live as a frog among the fishes and the tadpoles. He wore his lot patiently for 8 long years. Now, Horatio, as promised, paid a visit to the princess and told her all about the strange visitation on the battlements. Towards midnight, excited but sceptical, Beatrice wrapped up in an extra warm ski coat and woolly hat. For once, the guards did not call out a wary challenge as they saw a figure approach. For who could fail to recognise her loveliness, even through the darkness of a northerly winter's night?
So, you 3 saw a ghost on a skateboard?
Yes, my lady. That last night and the one before.
And you say he bears a passing resemblance to my own dear sweet prince?
More than passing, my lady. You shall see for yourself in a moment.
Methinks that someone is playing a trick on you.
Look, my lady, here it comes.
Angels and ministers of grace, defend us! Be thou a spirit of health or goblin damned! Bring with thee airs from heaven or blasts from hell! Be thy intents wicked or charitable! Thou comest in such a questionable shape that I will speak to thee. I call thee Bertie!
It beckons you go with it.
Do not follow. What if it leads you over a cliff or into madness?
It will not speak. I shall follow it.
Do not, my princess.
Unhand me, gentlemen. Oh, she's off. Well, now we're for it. Good and proper.
Up Up she climbed, following the vision round the winding stone steps of the North Tower and onto the exposed battlements.
Alas, poor ghost!
Ghost? You take me for a ghost?
Well, you're waxing and waning.
What does that mean?
You know, coming and going.
I'm not coming and going. I'm swivelling on my skateboard.
Well, look at you. You're fading in and out.
I'm no ghost. I'm alive. I tell you.
Are you sure?
Quite sure. But the fate that has fallen me is far stranger than death. I was doomed for a certain term, 8 years to be precise, to swim among foul-tempered fishes, silly tadpoles, and pretentious waterfowl. In a word, pond life.
Oh, poor Bertie. What happened? The true story. Tell it to me. I must know.
I am forbidden to tell the secrets of my prison house. I could a tale unfold that whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy 2 eyes like stars start from their spheres.
Oh, Bertie, do unfold. You can't keep it from me now.
Your stepmother, the wicked queen, who has since married my father and become my own stepmother too, confusing and confounding everybody, is the guilty one. She did it. She is responsible for my long absence from your arms. My sins against her were trifling. I annoyed her with my skateboarding inside the palace. I broke her Ming vase. It was an accident, but she schemed to prevent our marriage. That is the real reason why she turned me, by means of a most foul, unnatural, and slimy spell, into a frog. Then, in place of our happy and blissful wedding, she married the king, taking the palace, the kingdom, everything for her own.
You mean she stole the royal wedding?
In a nutshell, a deed most dastardly, the crime of the week. The millennium.
But, Bertie, you're fading again. Come back, my prince.
Adieu, adieu, I turn back to a frog. Croak. In the palace, a prince kneels before the throne. His name is Freddie, a long-time suitor of the lovely Princess Beatrice. He is a swot who had helped her with her maths homework when she was at school. His favourite pastime is adding up anything, but especially money. If money could buy him love, he would have a surfeit of it. As the song goes, money cannot buy love, but it can sometimes buy marriage.
Freddie, I have a mission for you. You must put on these.
And she threw down a pile of dirty laundry. With a melancholy air, he sifted through the clothes. Whose are these smelly old things?
They belonged long ago to Prince Bertie. Now it is time for you to put them on.
Alas, poor Bertie! I knew him, lady. A fellow of infinite jest, of most irrelevant fancy. He hath kicked me in the pants 1,000 times. Oh, Bertie, where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment? Here are the knee pads you wore when you skateboarded in the World Championships. And here your elbow pads. And your flaming red helmet. And your Spider-Man t-shirt. Why on heaven and earth would I want to wear these, my lady?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Freddie, than you learned in your homework.
By which you mean?
You hanker after the hand of the lovely Princess Beatrice, right? But she still mopes about with her sweet head full of dopey daydreams of her bygone Bertie. Now, here's the plan. You put on his clothes and the antics of a loony. Go to her chamber and prance around like you can't find your reason. Shake your head, hang out your tongue, roll on the floor. She will think that her poor Bertie has come back at long last, but has left his wits behind him. She will see that he is quite mad, and she won't be far wrong.
But my lady, I mean, it is a fine and cunning plan, but how would Beatrice mistake me for Bertie? Look here, upon this picture and on this. See what dopiness is seated in his brow, and upon mine own serious and swotty face, the scholarly spot at the end of my pointy nose.
Oh, ha! Do you not think I've thought of that? Here, wear this.
And she throws onto the pile of skateboarding togs the mask of a space warrior. It is the same disguise that Bertie wore at his final Christmas ball before he disappeared. Beatrice would be sure to recognise it straight away. Freddie followed the Wicked Queen's plan to the letter. But did it work out the way she intended? Well, not exactly. The following morning, as the Queen was sitting at her dressing table adjusting her new wig, some delicate white knuckles knocked softly on the door.
That will be my pretty stepdaughter. No doubt she's not got over the sight of her dear Bertie raving and drooling on her floor. Enter! Who is it?
Alas, my lady, I've been so affrighted. With what in the name of Osiris? The prince, with his skate pads tied around his neck, his shoelaces undone, his socks odd, his Bermuda shorts besmirched with chocolate cake, his Spider-Man t-shirt back to front, his knees knocking together, and a look so piteous in its perplexity as if he had been loosened out of a physics exam. To speak of horrors, he comes before me.
Mad for your love?
I fear it. He takes me by the wrist and lets out a cry so pathetic that he sounds like a little girl howling for her mummy on her first day at nursery school.
So this is the wicked fate that has befallen Bertie. It is far worse than death. He has gone out of his tiny little mind. That's settled then. A princess can't possibly marry a loony.
Who?
Prince Bertie. Who else do you speak of?
Oh no, my lady. It was Prince Freddie. I would recognise those knobbly knees anywhere. I was in his class at school all those years, and I recall them clearly, how he used to skive off games and stand shivering on the touchline. His teeth chattered, and his knees knocked. It was ever thus.
Are you sure it wasn't Bertie?
As sure as I see your purple wig sitting on the dressing table. As sure as I know that my Bertie has not forgotten me, and that one day soon, my lady, he shall return. You'll soon see. He'll be back by Christmas. That I promise you.
And as Beatrice left the room, not quietly as she came in, but stomping petulantly, the Queen thought to herself,
Drat! I mean, double drat! She knows that Bertie is waxing and waning. She's waiting for him to come back any day now.
And Princess Beatrice thought,
Bother! I mean, double bother. She knows now that Bertie's coming back. Why couldn't I keep my pretty mouth shut? That cat is well out of the bag.
Outside on the pond, Prince Bertie the frog still sat on his lily leaf. The little tadpoles still swam around him, asking incessantly,
Bertie, oh Bertie, when are you going to turn back into a prince?
Well, children, if I turn back into a prince, I won't be able to tell you stories anymore.
Oh, Bertie, how we shall miss you.
I've seen frogs spawn turn into tadpoles, and tadpoles turn into frogs, but something I've never seen is an annoying frog turn into a prince.
Little Tim, I see by the frantic swishing of your tail that you want to say something.
Oh yes, it's true that frogs turn into princes. We learn about it in biology. Pwah! The only thing they teach in the pond school is ignorance. Oh, I just had a thought. Oh, where did it go? Oh yes, there it is. Why don't you ask Natasha to tell the lovely Princess Beatrice that you're a frog? And then she'll come down to the pond and kiss you. Then you'll turn back into a prince.
Good question, Tim. Yes, Natasha, why don't you do that?
Well, Bertie, it's like this. Every week I send our stories and she never gets back to me. In all these years, she's not left a single comment on the website.
Oh, yes. Well, she is wonderful and all that. But she can be a bit strange sometimes. Now listen, Natasha, I've got a secret to share. Tadpoles, swim off and play, won't you? Step a bit closer, Natasha. Oh, don't get your feet wet. I need to whisper in your shell-like ear. Listen. I'm waxing and waning.
You're what?
I'm fading in and out.
How do you mean?
Once or twice around the midnight hour, I have faded back almost into a prince. But I can't yet hold my form. Strictly between you and me and the gatepost, I think the Wicked Queen's spell is starting to wear a bit thin.
Oh, Bertie, I had a funny feeling that change was afoot. This is so exciting.
But I still fear the wicked Queen. My tale is so strange that I doubt anyone will believe me when I make my return. They will ask, "Where's that Bertie been all these years?" And I shall say, "I've been a frog down on the pond. The Queen did it to me." And the Queen will say, "Bertie's come back even crazier than before."
It's true. Nobody believes me either when I tell them. They say she fell asleep by the pond one summer's day and dreamed it all up.
So here's the plan. On Christmas Eve, it is the custom at the palace to gather round the tree for storytelling. This year, be sure that it is you who is telling the story. Make it a good one, the best. The tale of how the Wicked Queen turned the dashing young prince into a frog. Only don't say it's me exactly. Give the hero a princely name like Wills or Charlie. The Queen, let her be Mary or Gertie. At the moment when the prince is turned into a frog, mark how she reacts. There will be a ghastly and most un-Christmassy fury, no doubt. In this way, we shall prove before the whole court that she is the guilty party.
Oh, great plan, Bertie. And to be on the safe side, you must make yourself scarce until you are fully formed as a prince. Make your way to England, to Notting Hill, where I know a secret hideaway. I know. I will wrap you up in a parcel and send you by special delivery.
Agreed. We are as one.
As ever.
The story's the scene by which to catch a queen. The flaps on the advent calendar are lifted up one by one. The winter nights fly by as fast as Santa's sleigh, and swiftly we arrive at Christmas Eve. There have been no more sightings of Bertie on the battlements. The Wicked Queen has been striding up and down the pond, but has failed to spot him. Princess Beatrice feels it too cruel to have been lifted up by hope and dropped down by disappointment. She wanders the cloisters of the palace on her own.
To kiss or not to kiss, that is the question. Whether it is better to hide in one's room all day or to wade into waters full of troubles and slime, and kiss every ugly frog and toad, in the forlorn hope that one might be my prince.
Ah, Beatrice, there you are. You'll be late.
Late for what, Horatio?
For storytelling. Natasha's getting ready under the tree.
Oh, that young lady. I wonder where she gets all her peculiar tales from.
Some say they come from Bertie, my lady.
I know. Those rumours make me feel a bit, well, funny. I would never like to be jealous, but it would seem odd if Bertie was in touch with her all this time and not me.
Come, my lady.
You're laughing, said the stepmother. I'll teach you not to boast. I'll teach you not to show off. I'll teach you not to do silly tricks. I'll teach you not to marry my daughter.
Oh, no thanks, said the prince. I go to school to learn things. I don't need any other teacher.
So, you think it's funny that I'm all green and covered in slime? I'll show you what it's like to be green and eat slime for the rest of your life.
And with that, she muttered a magic spell and turned the prince into a frog. Oh dear, said the prince. Croak. I wonder what the lovely princess will say now.
And the real queen, as she heard this story, grew more and more purple in the face. In fact, there was steam coming out of her nostrils. She leapt up off her throne and screeched,
Enough! This story's a monstrous calumny.
It's all a tissue of lies. How did it get past the censor? Call Lord Levison and tell him he's out of a job.
And Beatrice stood up and shouted,
Na, 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 na. Gotcha! The real reason you're angry is because it's all true.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't.
"Oh, yes, it is.
Who said that?
I did. Prince Bertie, back from the pond, the undiscovered country, the bourne from which no man returns. Only I just did. I'm back." Well, I've still got a bit of a croak in my throat, but apart from that, I'm a prince once again, and I've come to claim the hand of my betrothed, my lovely, beloved, only, sweet Beatrice.
Oh, Bertie.
Oh, no, you don't. Who said that? I did. Prince Boris the Bold. Remember me? I remember smacking you in the mouth for calling you a nincompoop, which you still are. And in the new year, I shall marry Beatrice, for she is betrothed to me. Beatrice, can this be true?
First I heard of it.
That's because, my dear, I haven't told you yet. But you're too late, Bertie. I've given her away to Boris.
Oh, no, it can't be. I shall never go through with it.
In that case, you leave me with no choice. Boris, I challenge you to a duel. Tomorrow is Christmas Day, and we shall pass it peacefully, going to church, eating lunch, and opening presents. But the day after is known as Boxing Day, and tradition holds that on that day there shall be sport aplenty and a right royal punch-up. But this time there will be no mere fisticuffs. We'll use real swords.
Bertie, no, you mustn't.
You're on, Bertie. Enjoy your Christmas lunch, for it shall be your last.
Why do boys take up arms to fight one another? Why must they rush headlong into a scrap? Boasting and bragging leads them into a sea of troubles. Swords and daggers are not toys to be trifled with. A bare bodkin has a point that is sharp and swift. 1 minute His blazing eyes light up the world, and the next they gaze into all eternity.
My lord, fight this fight if you must, but your friends would be far happier if you found a peaceful way out. Nobody can question your courage, but in those 8 long years as a frog, you had little practice with the rapier and the dagger.
Oh, do, Bertie, listen to your friends. Think of the poet Pushkin, who delighted the snowy Russians with his stories and verse, and then threw away his life and talent in a duel.
By my honour as a prince, I cannot run away from this fight. But since you implore me, I will offer to shake hands with Boris. If he agrees to make peace, all well and good. But if he does not take my hand, then I have faith that I can beat him in a fight that's fair and square. Meanwhile, at the other end of the castle, the wicked queen is briefing Boris for the big fight.
Listen up, Boris. Whatever you do, don't let Bertie back out of this. Fight dirty. Fight unfair. Fight to win.
I shall, my lady.
Good boy, Boris. Bertie is careless. When he picks his sword, he won't be paying much attention. But you must choose yours carefully. Take this one. Its end is dipped in a magic potion. Let its point prick his skin, and within 10 minutes he will turn back into a frog. Got it?
Yes, my lady.
And just to be sure, here's plan B. I shall fill this goblet with magic potion. When Bertie gets thirsty from the fight, we shall offer it to him. Let him gulp it down greedily, and sometime later he shall be back as a frog.
Excellent, my lady. You think of everything.
And the most cunning part of it is this. My soppy and dopey stepdaughter, Princess Beatrice, won't blame you for chopping up her darling Bertie before her tear-filled eyes. It's far better that he hops off as a frog, and nobody's any the wiser as to how it happened.
Roll up for the big Boxing Day fight. Get your souvenir brochures here.
All quiet for the king!
Okay, you two princes, I want a fair fight. No stabbing in the back or below the waist. We need a nice clean kill to settle this silly squabble. And the king's decision is final. Listen, Boris. We never got on at school, and I'm sorry that I smacked you in the mouth all those years ago. I know that ever since you have been smarting for revenge, but now I'm offering you my hand and a royal apology. Oh no, you're not going to wriggle out of this one now, you cowardly custard.
Boring! Come on, get on with it! At each other, you two!
A hit! Powerful hit!
Bandage up Boris's arm. Round 1 goes to Bertie.
Well done, Bertie. Thirsty work, hey? Here, have a drink.
Oh no, thanks. I brought my own fizzy cola with plenty of sugar in it. I've got you this time! Oh no, you haven't. Ow! That's not fair! Bertie cheated! He stabbed my big toe! I didn't mean to. It was an accident. Round 2 goes to no one. The third and final bout will decide the match.
Are you sure you won't have a little sip of my drink, Bertie? All that sugar's going to your head, and you are getting overexcited.
It's okay. I'll have water, thanks. Why is she so keen for me to drink from that goblet? I bet it's got one of her nasty concoctions inside it. Take that, smarmy face! No, you take that, you right royal nincompoop! You're not marrying Beatrice! Oh, yes, I am! Ow! He did it again! He stabbed my foot! Oh, no, I didn't. You stabbed yourself with your own sword. I feel strange. Save me! Croak! Oh, no, the Queen's fainted. Here, bring her round with a slurp from this goblet. Sip, my dear, it will do you good.
What was that drink? Oh, no, you fool, you silly old fool. That was the magic potion.
The what?
The potion that was meant for Bertie. Within 5 minutes I shall be a frog, and so shall Boris, for he stabbed himself with his own sword that was dipped in magic. Croak.
Hop off to the pond, the pair of you. I'll tell Colin the carp to roll out the welcome mat and get some squashed flies ready for your tea.
Oh, Bertie, you are my true prince.
And you, Beatrice, are my true princess. And that was the final part of Prince Bertie Returns, presented by storynori.com, free audio stories for kids. There will be more stories to follow with Prince Bertie in his human princely form. Coming up, look out for a royal wedding in the spring. Who knows, there may even be some little princelings. Can you imagine Bertie as a dad? And Bertie would like to thank everyone who has faithfully followed his stories during his long years of exile on the pond, and all those people who have left comments wishing that he will turn back into a prince. The first Bertie story was recorded just before Christmas 2005. This special edition was recorded for storynori.com for Christmas 2013. The actors were Natasha Lee Lewis and me, Richard Scott. The drama was written by Bertie with profuse apologies to William Shakespeare. And Bertie says that one day we might put on some real Shakespeare. For now, from all of us, Happy Christmas!